Hello, viewers. Here's a mindful man, Regan, in another episode of The Clinic by Paul G. Brett. Oh, I see. And what did he say about it? He had some rather conservative views. I expect he just hadn't thought very much about it, really. He likes you, I think. Well, that's one good thing. And then we had some amazing Frank's cheeses. A whole trolley came along and we could choose whatever we liked, though I didn't know what they were, or even when the waiter told us. It didn't help much. And then the puddings. Oh, the puddings. I couldn't find room for one of course, but Hugo had a fancy one with a sweet wine. It must have cost a fortune. For it was really, really out of this world, and he's such a dear, even though we argue all the time. Afterwards, of course, we went back to the house. More coffee? I asked innocently. Yes, please. We sat on the sofa and I showed him the leaflets and postcards I had brought back from France. There was absolutely no room on the boat for anything more than that. And this is where we found the most wonderful little restaurant with mussels in, and you won't believe how many different sorts of sauces there were. And that harbour, that was where we nearly hit a tanker outside it in the night. They bear down on you at a terrific speed, and all you know is the little red light twinkling at you. Flicky and I were on watch, and she was telling me all about the cottage they want to buy in the Dordogne, and we didn't see it coming. We just didn't. Robbie shouted at us and swore in the most thrilling way. I don't know there was such words. He said we'd nearly sunk the effing boat and ought to be put ashore right away before we shafted all the shipping lanes and destroyed the whole of Britain's trade with Europe, let alone the sodding ferries and the something tourists. It was a bit OTT, I thought. Anyway, he couldn't throw us overboard because Flick is his wife. Lucy, yes, I haven't seen you for 3 whole weeks. I know I've missed you so much, I fibbed, or I didn't really fib. It just felt so thrilling being on the high seas, and I hadn't lost my sea legs yet. Do you think what? We might? He slid his hand over my skirt and leaned over to kiss me. I think I was as eager as he was, really, only I'd go out of the way of it. Slowly we sank back onto the sofa and lay side by side, feeling each other's breath and the rising and falling of our bodies. Then he, oh dear, with his long practiced fingers he explored those parts I kept specially for him. And then down, and I don't dare say what came next. I caught my breath, and he did that and arched my back, and all my resistance fell away. Come on, he said, I've got something for you. We swayed hungrily to and fro, and I stretched upwards and leant away from him, and he rose to meet me. No, not yet, I cried out. Hurry up, bitch. Yes, now, ah. And we fell back panting, exhausted. In the morning we sat lazily over breakfast in our dressing gowns. He kept his in the bathroom cupboard. Later he got dressed and went out for a paper. He came back in a more sombre mood. Lucy, he began, I knew this meant he wanted something, so I prepared myself. Yes, do you need any more money? You haven't earned much in that orchestra, have you? What's brought all this on? I asked. Well, I've been thinking about it for some time. You know my work in this new clinic. Yes, my curiosity was really aroused now. Well, as you know, I'm going to be experimenting with some new procedures. I know, it's so exciting, she said. Do you think you could help me a bit? I nearly fell off the chair. What? I shrieked. How? I've got my own career to think about. No, what I mean is, my mind was going at 100 miles an hour, you mean? No, silly. What I've been wondering is whether you could let me have some of your your eggs. Whatever for? What are you thinking about? If I gave you some biochemicals to make you produce more of them, and then you came into the... Hugo, for God's sake, what are you saying? I'm not a chicken farm producing eggs to order. Please explain. No, Luce, I know it means a lot to me, my work. Well, I'm going to need lots of eggs. I'd only mean a few visits and a little procedure to take them out of your ovary. It'd be such a help. And what would you do with them? They'd be for my research. We'll be working on cell therapy but they're mine for me. They're not for you to poke about in at your lab. Sell what? You scientists think you're God. That's what Flicky says anyway. Hope you enjoyed this chapter. More coming up from Paul G. Brett, The Clinic.